can I ask you this next question? You know,
Sure.
it's coming up.
Right.
People probably call you up and they ask you, what is the going rate? What's the interest rate?
Right.
And what's the answer to that?
Well, there's a lot of things that go into what the rate is. So when you hear it on the radio, you hear it on the news, the interest rate now is at 6.75%.
You're making me crack up. Yeah. Go ahead.
It really could be that rate if you fit in this little niche, you know. So usually there's an asterisk, and at the bottom it says if you're borrowing this much, your credit score is this much, and you're putting 20% down. But that doesn't fit everybody's situation, right?
Yeah.
So
considering there's also different types of loans.
see, a lot of people go online because they hear about Rocket Mortgage and a lot of these mortgage companies that are online. And you're not dealing with a person. You're on a computer putting this information in.
And it's personal information too,
Yes.
which is I'm kind of weary about putting.
Right. What we normally do is I have a conversation with my client. So I've got this great little system in my computer, and I'll ask several questions, plug all those in, and then I can give them an idea of what the rate is. Because I can tell you, well, the rate could be anywhere from 6.5 to 7.5. But you don't really want to hear that. You want to narrow it down a little bit more specific than that. So,
All right. What is the interest rate that you can give me? What is the interest
Right.
rate you can give that particular buyer?
exactly. And that can change depending on the property. So you have different types of properties, right? You may start off by looking at single family homes. You could switch gears and go, well, maybe we'll look at condos too. You could even switch gears and say, well, maybe let's look at 2 families and 4 families, and we'll live in one of the units and rent the other ones out. So there are different interest rates for all those
For
different
different
properties.
types of residential property.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the first question. And that can change through the process. You don't have to stick with one type of property, but at least you have an idea. If I'm going to buy a single family home, this is probably what my interest rate's going to be based on that information. Then the next thing is once I know your credit score, I know your income, I know your qualification levels, I can make a recommendation as to what type of financing is going to fit your needs.
Can you share with us, some people might know, and that's okay. If you don't know, ask us these questions. What is a credit score?
Credit score, right. So there are 3 credit scores, and the credit scores are based on your ability to pay your debt to lenders, banks, creditors. So when you get a student loan, when you get a credit card, when you have a car payment, all those things go into creating a credit score for you. The next question is, how much are you planning on putting down? You know, are you going to put 5% down, 10, 20? Because all that impacts the interest rate. So if somebody says, I'm going to put 20% down, then I'll plug that in. At that point, I have their credit score. Or if they don't want me to pull their credit, if they have a good idea of what their credit score is, which isn't always, if you're looking at Credit Karma and some of those credit reporting agencies, they don't always give you exactly what the credit score is. So it's really important just to have a lender pull your credit because that's what your score really is. But we'll look at the credit score. We will look at what area of town you're buying in because that actually plays a role in it too. When we pull credit, it'll ask what county and what state the property's in. Now you may be looking in 3 different counties. And usually, generally, it's the same like in the surrounding counties. If you're buying in Florida, which we can do also, you actually have a different interest rate in Florida than you do in Ohio. So that's another variable. You may say, I want a 15-year mortgage instead of a 30-year mortgage. That's another variable. So there's just a lot of variables in determining what the rate is.
It's also your decision of what, some of those variables of what you want.
Right, right. It's a good conversation so that way we can kind of get an idea of the whole scenario. We plug all the information in, and then I can come back with quoting you as close to an interest rate as I can. But then rates change every day. So The rates are based on the stock market. So,
And that's something
right.
probably for another
and,
video.
And the bond market. So the interest rate can change from one day to the next depending on how the market is. So, but I can tell people what our interest rate is that day based on that scenario.
And how can they lock in their interest rate?
Once they have a property. So once a client has found a home and made an offer and they have it under contract, you would send the contract to me. We already have the pre-approval done, so I already have all the application completed. I will reach out to the customer, make sure that we have the right amount down that they feel comfortable with. Once we have all that information in place, I can lock in the interest rate, which I highly recommend.
Yeah.
There's so many variables between getting the house under contract and closing that you don't want to risk the interest rates going up.
So once buyer and seller agree that this will be the price, that the purchase price, and there's an accepted offer, that's when you're saying we can lock in that interest rate. So that's great. Basically, it's almost as soon as possible once they know that they're in contract for the house.
Right, exactly. And I do recommend it. I have to ask permission, of course. You know, is it okay if we lock in your rate? And usually I think I will give my own personal situation that I personally would lock in the interest rate. I'm not a gambling kind of person. So it could go up or down.
Yeah, time.
But the chances of them going up are so much greater than the rate coming down in that short window of time.
Time is really important. So get your ducks in a row. We tell you what you need. We'll advise you. Please just know that this is time is of the essence. It's really important to get these things in.
Right.
And it's not our rules. We apologize. We're trying to work with the process the best we can and get you the house you want with a good interest rate. That's always our goal.
Yes,
right?
Definitely. And try to make it an enjoyable experience. I want you to come away with, gosh, that was so easy. And
I think it's because they didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. So we're here to educate you. We want to tell you what's going on. And there's so many steps, but we'll walk you through them.
Right, exactly.
I'm Sarah Rose with WebMLS.net Realty. I'm your realtor.
And I'm Shannon from River Hills Bank, your loan officer.
Right, so we can help you find your home, first-time home buyer or bought many homes before. We're here to help you. Please call us. Boop, boop. There's our numbers. And we appreciate you watching this video and taking your time because everyone's time is very important. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. You also.